Donald Trump would have you believe those numbers are made up by the media. Thinks we're cooking the books.
The media isn't just against me. They're against all of you. That's really what they're against. They're not against me. They're against what we represent. Like Hillary Clinton, they look down on the hardworking people of the country.
Now, do you buy that? Meaning, let's get to the big question. Do you think the election is actually rigged? Take a peek here at some new CNN ORC polling. 2/3 of you, 66%, have confidence votes will be cast and counted accurately. Now, that's a higher level of confidence than we asked this question in 2008, and it's down a little bit from when we asked it back in 2004. Not surprisingly, there's a sharp partisan divide. You see it there. Nearly 9 in 10 Clinton supporters have confidence in our election system. Just 49% of Trump supporters do. We added these questions to our poll because Trump is out there saying it's a rigged election. So it's clear 2/3 of Americans think, no, it's okay. And maybe there are some spotty cases here and there. But what impact does this discussion have as we go into the final weeks if Donald Trump keeps doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this idea that the media is cooking the books? Don't believe the polls. They're not just rigging the election. Don't believe anything they tell you.
I think saying that the polls are rigged actually has a strategic impact for him, and it makes more sense than saying the election is rigged, which actually depresses turnout. When you say the polls are rigged, you're basically saying, well, still giving people some kind of incentive or motivation to go to the polls. I think the bigger question is really what happens after the election, because as many people have made comparisons to 2000, there is no comparison to 2000 because the argument in 2000 was that it was a very close election and no one was alleging fraud. We were talking about mechanical error and outdated, antiquated voting systems and hanging chads in Florida. No one was saying that there was this grand scale conspiracy to rig the entire election. We're in a new frontier in that sense.
This is a classic Trumpian attack. This goes back to the reason why the guy is on the national stage in the first place when he embraced the birther movement. It's about questioning the legitimacy of all these institutions that we subscribe to. The media isn't biased against him. He got $2 billion of earned media before people really started to scrutinize him. But I really think this is pointed to something else, and it's something more personal for Trump. He has got it set up now. Forget about kind of the larger constitutional implications. On election night, Hillary Clinton is going to give her speech, presumably wearing the white suit again, right? We are all going to be focused on what he is going to say.
Right.
So this is all being funneled towards Donald Trump and his capacity to hog the spotlight again.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, Hillary Clinton will have her moment, likely her historic moment, and people will be waiting to see what he says. And I think the truth is, even if he concedes that night, it's likely that he might go back a couple of days later and say, well, I'm not really sure whether or not this thing was on the up and up. I think he's very much on track to be more of like a Rush Limbaugh figure, a Sean Hannity type figure. I mean, he was never running as a statesman, so to expect that on Tuesday night he'll give some sort of gracious concession speech is unlikely. And I think no matter what he says, his people are likely going to see Hillary Clinton as an illegitimate president. They saw Barack Obama in many ways as an illegitimate president, even though McCain conceded.
And yet, though, Karen, in our poll, 77% say a presidential loser is obligated to accept the results and concede. 77%, that's a lot of Trump supporters.
Yeah, but it's not going to be sort of the ones in the raw emotion of the night. And I do think there is a fairly good chance that there will be the competing storylines of one would be America has just elected its first female president, and the second would be, that this was somehow illegitimate. And by the way, the Never Trump faction of the Republican Party has some incentive here too to sort of say, well, she only got elected because she was running against such a flawed candidate, so let's go ahead and turn our attention to blocking her agenda and it's the opening gun for 2020.
All right, it is interesting. One last footnote from our poll. If Trump loses, will he accept the results and concede? 61% say no. 35% say yes. We'll see how that one plays out. As this conversation plays out, Trump saying it's a rigged election, Trump saying don't trust the media. He has launched now an evening newscast. It's on at 6:30 in the East. That used to be when you tuned in for Edward R. Murrow or Walter Cronkite and the like, 6:30 or 7 p.m. East. It's on Facebook Live, and it's called Trump TV. And you see his campaign manager there, Kellyanne Conway. I guess this means Aaron Burnett can't get Boris at 7 o'clock because he's doing Trump TV at 6:30. We're laughing about it, and and they got like 45,000 or something people watching. and everyone says, oh, that's a low number. On Facebook Live, that's a pretty good number. But what is this here? Is this about rallying, keeping morale up because your supporters keep hearing in the mainstream media you're losing? Is it about keeping morale up? There's a link there to raise money. So is it about fundraising, or is it, as the cynics say, just testing out the post-election Trump media empire, which he again today in a radio interview flatly denied any interest in?
I think it's about going around the filter. And he's been successful at that. That certainly, that was the whole success he had on Twitter, for better or worse, going around the filter. He's just pushing it into the next frontier.
Well, George Bush called it the filter too, but the way he got around it was by going to the local press. I do think this is taking it to a new level. And if you look at who his main advisors are, they are essentially media executives. Steve Bannon, and then he's got Roger Ailes, who's kind of as an informal advisor. And if these poll numbers hold and Donald Trump loses, he is not going to ride off into the sunset like we just discussed and concede this election. He's going to have some kind of a new something after the election, and I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it's possible that this is also the germ of something that could carry on post-election.